Uh, I'm not sure if you
Hey
guys
everybody,
can hear me,
welcome
but
to the Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Marty.
hi, I'm Vlad.
And I'm Adam with Weed for Warrior Project.
And we do this show every week, or we attempt to anyway. And we are dedicated to aquaponic cannabis growing and aquaponic cannabis production, and trying to spread the word and other eco-conscious grow methods for cannabis, and just pure production, aquaponic production, and just all that kind of related stuff. So we have a really special guest today from the Weed for Warriors group from Illinois. He was going to try and make it with us last time, and he had something come up, but he was gracious enough to reschedule right away and come back on the show as soon as he was able to. So I wanted to give him a big shout out and a thank you for being able to come on the show today. Um, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was on their podcast, which I believe is called, was it the 420 Hour? Is that right?
Yeah. It's on dvradio.net, which is just a veteran podcast network.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had a great time. I was on there a couple of times, and so we'll definitely put a link to it in the
Yeah.
section.
Marty, do you want to tell us what you had going on this week, and then we'll kind of go through, since most of us have not much to go on, and then we'll let our guest take the floor.
Yeah, so let's see. This is week 7 for the indoors, so really not much happening with that the last few weeks. I don't really feed any tea or anything like that, so it's pretty much on cruise control. Flowering is just starting on the outdoor, so pretty much everybody has triggered outside. You can see the first little pre-flowers starting to pop out now, so that's been kind of fun to watch. So, just the kind of normal stuff around that time. Usually, top dress a little bit more and feed a little heavy right as they start to flower. And get my last few bug sprays in before flowering gets heavy, so definitely keeping those mixed up and sprayed on. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty good. Next week probably we'll chop down the indoor. Just kind of keep an eye on it and see how the hairs look. But it definitely looks good, smells good. Everything's going pretty well there. So yeah, that's been about it. Kind of cruise control at this point. Everything is switching over to flowering for outdoor. So yeah. Oh, I had Steve Blackburn, I think is his name, from Vega Labs out of Washington. Stopped by and left a sample of some stuff that I'll put a link to it in the system. But basically, it's just like a microbial with a little bit of nutrients in it, but mostly it's just like a microbial mix with some micronized nutrients to try out some of those. So it was nice having them stop by and talking to them for a little bit and checking out their stuff. They have a lot of just natural-based additives that they micronize and then sell. So definitely some interesting stuff. I haven't tried out too much of it yet. I did dose once with it just to kind of check it out, but can't really report too much yet because it's only been about 12 hours or so since I fed it. So yeah, other than that, really nice guys. Interesting discussion. Definitely a cool company to check out and see some of the stuff that they're doing. So I'll report back on how their products do. Hopefully they'll send me some of their spider mite control, which was kind of an interesting thing, which is a lot of the same stuff we use already, which is like lemongrass and different oil extract, I think rosemary and a few other things. But they list all their ingredients on it. Anyway, so you can check it out. It should be 100% fish safe, no issues there. So I definitely wanted to try that stuff out. So hopefully I'll get a sample of that. But he'd already given away all his samples of that by the time he got here. But and that was him and Kendo Perps, I think is his name. Stop by, and so that was a good time. It was nice having somebody tour around and check it out and leave some samples. So that's pretty much my week. What do you got going on there, Steve? Or Vlad? I know you guys are in the same spot now, right?
Yep, for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll let Vlad go first. What have we been up to, Vlad?
Yeah. Oh, geez, what have we not been up to? I've been kind of playing around with the press here, and
Why don't you show everybody a little bit of what
getting
we've been working on
some
there?
dry sift
It's pretty
equipment
neat.
in order, and yeah. Oh, this is a little rosin press. I've been playing with for about 3, 4, 5 months now. I have 2 of them, and this one was damaged. Well, the press itself was damaged in shipping. It was just this little push-in fitting was cracked. So I've replaced that and set the regulators to all the proper PSI and slowed it down a little bit, quite a bit actually, a little slower press. And just kind of, tweaking the press, playing around with the new compressor, creating space, you know,
Have you done any test
and
runs
moving a
yet?
lot of boxes. We have, yeah, quite a, over the last, bunch of months. Yeah, yeah. But Stephen and I, we'd like to, get a little bit more particular now with our source material and the method with which we pre-process. We've gone to a purely mechanical dry sift method. Um, so it's a little time consuming and whatnot, and it's I guess what you'd call labor intensive for most folks, but I'm sure Steven seems to enjoy that kind of thing, and I'm not in a hurry yet either. So it's just basically screened through the different micron screens, 60, 90, 110, 200, and then a 320 for a final. And then we press some of it. Some of it we want to like to make full melt, but you can't really harvest a whole heck of a lot of it. So most of that goes for I guess not really testing so much. More Stephen and my evaluation, I suppose. We've not subjected anything to here in California to any kind of laboratory testing, since we would like to, we more or less, Stephen just got here, and we'd like to establish a solid aquaponic grow first, and then subject those flowers and that rosin and that dry sift hash and full melt to testing. So that's where we're kind of working surely and slowly on that. So that's kind of
Yeah,
where
we'll
we're
have a
at.
bunch more information here. Hopefully shortly. We have a bunch of stuff in the works regarding that and
Yeah,
the farm out here.
yeah, we're in the
Other
process
interesting things.
of signing some ND agreements, some non-disclosure agreements, and I guess some people caught wind of what we're up to and would like to work with us and combine forces and so on and so forth. So we'll see. We're exploring a good number of one or two really serious options that appeal to Stephen and myself. So it's going all right. It's going okay. Just kind of working on getting a like an AP brand of sorts going on with some of these high-end solventless extracts. So pesticide, herbicide-free, and so forth.
Adam, do you
So
guys
that's
have
what we've been up to. That's what I've been up to.
right on? Hey, Adam, do you guys have many people over there in Illinois doing rosin presses on any sort of large scale or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. At Mass Roots and stuff like that, there's pictures, but nobody that I know personally. Most of the people I know are just flower guys. They don't mess around with the concentrates too much. Everyone's afraid of their tolerances getting blasted through the roof. So
Oh, yeah.
But you can always just make
Well,
more, right?
yeah, I mean
you can change up the way you smoke a little bit. Lower the temps of the dab rig.
Oh, yeah.
And enjoy some some fuller profile terpene and
Oh yeah.
cannabinoid.
Have you tried
rosin.
some, Adam?
It's
Say again.
Have you tried some live resin?
Oh, of course, yeah. I had some out here. One of the both Black Market and in the Dispo. Dispo was actually pretty good. I had Revolution's Gorilla Glue #4. It was sitting at like 89%. It was a tad bit pricey, but it was definitely. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really like it. Got a nice full flavor.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The sativa flowers kind of bug me out, but like the sativa dominant or the sativa strain dabs really don't, which is I don't know. So I kind of stay away from the live resin that's got like again Gorilla Glue.
Right.
So,
I just picked up a cut of Gorilla Glue
this is a little different, I guess. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so the rosin is different than live res. Live res is
Yeah.
usually traditionally done with BHO and then separated with dry ice after. No, I'm sorry. It's dry ice first, then they
Yeah, I thought it
BHO
was
the
flat. They
powder.
flash
Yeah,
freeze the whole plant.
the
way I
bubble-
saw it
they
on
bubble.
They
Yeah,
sinterate.
yeah.
I got that
And,
backwards. When I said it. Being dyslexic today.
That's right. No, this is cool. This is just some heat, really low heat, 180 degrees Fahrenheit to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and some pressure, which is supplied by a compressor. So it's not a hydraulic press; it's a pneumatic press. And there's about 1,000 pounds per square inch on this, roughly. It's 2¼ by about almost 4. It's a little plate. There's a Gibtronic PLC that controls heat to both plates, and they just squeeze the flour or the hash or the dry sift or keef or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It gets squeezed between these plates, and that's it. The yellow, amber, liquid gold goodness just is squeezed out of the flour or hash or whatnot, and it's really nice. It's really quick. It's not dangerous. There's no solvents involved. The medical community likes it. The flavor profile is tremendously better. I know these things are subjective in a matter of opinion, but if you look at some of the profiles, we'd like to do aquaponic cannabis under this press and so forth. But even non-aquaponic cannabis, if you look at some of the rosin profile versus some of the different extracts, I guess I hate to use terms like better or whatever. It's just more complex, I guess.
No,
Right.
it's fine. No,
More
I've
diverse.
had rosin before. Nothing out of a
sure.
nice press like that. Everything's been out of hair straighteners, or somebody made their own press out of hair straighteners. Somebody had a rosinator. I had some of that, but it was the plates were on just one side, which was the guy, the guy who had it was pretty upset about it. But at the same time, he picked it up for a bargain, But yeah, it wasn't. I think that was I had Northern Lights, so
Right
that
on.
was my first rosin strain.
Cool.
I think
Good old
that's
times.
one of the reasons why you guys are dry sifting is because you end up with even though you have a large press, you still have a relatively small area that is being pressed together. So by dry sifting out that stuff first and then pressing it, you're trying to increase your yield per run. Is that kind of the idea?
Well, yeah, that's a way to put it. Absolutely. Just crushing straight flour. We've obtained 26.2 or 3% yield, but that was on some incredible pre-98 Bubba Kush flour
Wow,
and some
that
blackberry
sounds
something
amazing.
there in Colorado. Yeah, it was, but typically those are not numbers that we've even come close to. Most everything else is in the 18, maybe 20 something odd range,
10 to
which is still better
15.
than what we were doing with some of the older style presses, which is 12 to 15, 16. But at any rate, yeah, sifting it will we'll screen off and only use two of these screen sifts for the rosin press. One of the sifts goes as trichome separated full melt. The other sift is pretty rough, a lot of cellulitic green matter. So we'll do other stuff with that, whatever. Stephen will blast it through ethanol for oils or edibles or we've been I know he's been wanting to do this dry ice method, and we've been kind of saving our shake. Gonna probably next week
Sure.
gonna try that. But the dry sift, it seems, I don't know. I'm a bit of a devolutionist. I do some woodworking and whatnot. I like the hand tools and old timey planers and chisels and knives and so forth. And I like the mechanical grinding of the flour, and then the mechanical hand dry sifting through the screen. And yeah, I don't know. It's maybe if you had to do it all day long every day for 10 hours a day, it would probably suck. I imagine it'd be like turning bolts for GM or whatever.
Right.
But right now in this capacity, in this way, it's pretty interesting, and it's new for the
Do you
most
feel
part.
like you
We're
get?
learning a lot.
Have you noticed a larger yield by doing that process per
Yeah,
press?
definitely. Oh, certainly.
Compared
Yeah,
to
there's
just
certainly a
pressing
way to
it,
do it.
yeah.
Compared to just, yeah, oh, definitely. And even the size of the micron, tea bags, uh, what you're pressing will determine what size micron baggie you should use. And then you want to avoid things like blowout, where the tea bags will rupture if you put too much material in them, and so on and so forth. So, we've been playing with these things and had some help along the way. A good deal of it was just common sense, and we kind of figured, a bunch out. And it's kind of, I think we have it kind of pretty down, I guess, just so to say, for what we want, or for what I want, and what Steven wants. So it's all right.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank
Sounds
you.
terpy.
Excuse me, it was cutting out. I couldn't hear it.
I said it sounds terpy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but Steven has some totally separate little tricks up his sleeve as far as the terpy, if that's what you said. I don't know if you said trippy or terpy, like terpenes.
Yeah.
Steve's been
I'll have
actively trying
the funding for that
trying to
equipment, yet, but we know what we're getting
yeah.
when that day, when that time comes.
Well,
We're gonna do that next.
yeah, it doesn't seem
That's
like
next
anything
in
you
line.
couldn't really put together yourself for half the price of some of the kits you've been looking at, but I might be
Okay.
jumping the gun on that.
Never mind.
It's
Probably.
really basic,
But yeah, we've been looking
some
into the equipment.
some flasks and so on and so forth, corks, and really basic lab equipment.
Oh yeah, maybe you guys should talk a little bit about how how you guys store it. Like obviously, it's not like just regular like these. You can just leave.
Oh, the rosin.
Yeah.
The rosin, you mean? You gotta store it cold.
Oh, you
Yeah,
mean
right,
what we
the
do with
freezer.
the leftover rosin? Yeah, we haven't really had to store it for any significant lengths of time. So as long as we,
Yeah.
as long as we keep it, relatively cool out of the sun, it kind of, I don't. We have, yeah. I can't wait till we have that problem to have to store it.
Yeah.
That
I'll let
hasn't
you know when
occurred
I
yet.
have 55-gallon drums just sitting around,
Yeah, just on parchment. Parchment. I've been looking at some weird new papers. Papers. They're not really papers. They're films made from different materials that some of the folks here at the Humboldt Patient Resource Center are acquiring from producers of some shatter, and I believe, I'm not sure if these guys make rosin as well, but it's a neat little film. It's not really sticky. It's pretty cool. It's kind of heavy duty. It was hard to tear, right, Stephen? It was
Mhm.
it's kind of neat, and the shatter, the extracts did not seem to stick or tear it at all. So I don't know. We're still kind of. There's a lot of neat materials out there. So there's nothing
very little that's made like for the rosin press industry, I guess. So it's all pulled from other, from other industries,
Right.
the silk screen industry, the medical industry, or some other, whatever. Uh, it kind of reminds me of the special effects industry. I used to go to school in Pittsburgh, and there was nothing in that industry that was made for it. It was all just kind of retro engineered to do what these guys needed. So we've been kind of muddling our way through, figuring it out. And I think we have the sifting breakdown, I suppose, or whatever, the grading process. What
Right.
works well in the press, what's too small particle size wise, what's too large particle size wise, where that sweet spot is, and then where you want to kind of the full melt. I think is I don't know. I really like the full melt, so we'll probably continue to harvest those trikes separately as a separate. We're trying to maybe turn these things into a aquaponic
Separate, just like
branded,
land heads, yeah.
branded products or whatnot. So with full melt, rosin, maybe some different types of hash and flour. First and foremost, those few products being offered, I suppose.
Cool, man.
So, right on. So anyway, I'll quit talking about
Adam,
that. Let someone else.
No, that's
speak.
cool. I
I'm
love
really
hearing
excited to hear
about this.
about the. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to tell us about what you got going on and about your organization and your podcasts and all
Yeah.
that, and your local-ish things that you're talking about earlier?
Yeah, there's well, I got out of the Navy in 2014. I was retired because of the seizures, and just did a deployment in Afghanistan and finished the deployment and all that, but took a few bumps on the head over there. But when I got back, started having seizures and stuff. The Navy said, "No way, Jose, you're out of here." But when I was going through my separation, the only thing that I was excited for and that kept my morale up, while I was getting separated, was the fact that Illinois had medical cannabis. But little did I understand anything about cannabis community or the industry or mom and pop type of thing or any of that. I didn't know. I wasn't familiar with that. All I knew was, hey, this store was going to sell it. I'm going to get it. This is going to be great. Well, as I came back to Illinois, it's not like that at all. So I was going to school for a while for medical school, and I was going through an ounce maybe every couple of days because of the stress, and I just couldn't afford it. So I was like, man, there's got to be a cheaper way. And I'm like, well, I have my card. I should be able to grow it, right? Well, come to find out, we didn't even have home grow past or anything like that. So that's how I got involved with, I guess, advocating for Illinois' medical cannabis. And it's been nothing but an uphill battle trying to get people to support us for the home grow. So what I did is start reaching out to other like-minded individuals, and I came across the group. The organization is NFP, Weed for Warriors Project. Tommy Chong did a commercial for them and stuff. They were on High Time. They were featured on High Times, so they're recognized. So that's where we're starting now, was with that, and then that was back in March. I think I got hooked up with them. And then come April, we got asked to do a 420 special show on a Veterans Network, radio podcast network. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, but it's been a weekly thing ever since. And yeah, that's just retired. I sit around and study pot. And yeah, I dropped medical school, going back. I start school in 12 days for horticulture. So
That's wonderful. Tell us more about what the Weed for Warriors group does there.
Well, here in Illinois, across the country, they do a lot of events where you give out free, like in California, they give some of the chapters out there give out free meds. Here in Illinois, that's not going to happen. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out ways to offer support to veterans in other ways, besides medicine. So what we're doing is more of we help veterans get their cards, walk them along the process step by step. If you need a ride to the VA, we'll take you there. And then to help, if some people can't afford their meds, we'll help set up. We're working on setting, raised beds and organic farming and stuff like that for people, because we don't have home grow, but at least we can grow food to save for the money for the medicine right now. And I'm trying to resonate that idea to hopefully somewhere is like, hey, wait a minute, it's compassionate. Let's give people the medicine. But I like to preach that medical cannabis. The word medical is it should be like therapeutical medical cannabis is what we should be calling it, because the horticulture part of it, the growing it, is therapeutic. I mean, this is why I dropped out of med school to go to horticulture class, was because half the labs are spent in the dirt, you know, and I know that preventative medicine starts at the basic level, and with the way that people eat and their lifestyles and the choices of how they self-medicate, it's just not, it's people are going to, we're going to have more than just, what is it, 1 out of 4 kids or 6 kids has diabetes. It's going to be worse than that, you know, if we don't get on top of this. So start at the basics.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
food would be a big one there. Yeah, food and medicine.
Yeah. That's how it
So
started.
let me ask you. I may have missed. Where is it you're taking the horticulture classes? Or what? Where are you located? What state?
I'm in Illinois. There's a college of Lake County, and this is a funny
Illinois. That's right.
Yeah.
Lake
There's-
County.
Yeah.
So that's near
Community.
Chicago or no? Or that's Cook County, right? In Chicago.
Well, Cook County. I live on the Cook and Lake County border, so I live about
Okay.
20 minutes from Chicago.
So it's an urban center. You know, it's fair to say it's a very urban center. Kind of very urban.
No, the school is actually in a rural area, Grays Lake.
cool.
It's starting to
Very nice.
become, they're starting to develop into
Nice.
stuff. But
All
it's a
right.
community
Little
college.
sprawl.
Yeah, I dropped a 4-year
Cool.
university for a 2-year associate in science for horticulture.
Right
Because,
on.
I got celiac disease
on.
developed, and I lost about 80
from all the
pounds.
glyphosate, huh?
Yeah,
I hear you, man.
Oh, jeez.
And
I have it too.
Yeah, Steven is dealing with some similar issues. Yeah.
So I'm just tired of it.
Sorry to
man.
hear that.
The food, it's what it started with. I think a lot of my stuff stems from the shit that we ate in the military and the shots and the
Aye.
immunizations.
Yeah.
You know, we can go on for hours about that, but
Yeah.
you got to start at the basics, you know. And it's like, how am I going to be able to be a
Sure.
medical professional and treating these people when I'm not trying to help them before they even step in the door?
Sure.
So,
Right.
Sure.
Wow.
And how
That's cool.
has cannabis helped you with your symptoms and other people that you've known, especially in the military?
Yeah, I have PTSD, I have a seizure disorder, spine issues, all sorts of stuff. I love it. It saved my life, literally. I could say that. I'm a suicide survivor. I was on 30 pills a day, almost to 280 pounds a year ago, and now I'm down to 4 pills a day and 180 pounds, 190 pounds. I fluctuate because of the celiac. But
Holy cow.
I didn't lose all that weight
Wow.
because of the celiac. I do contribute a lot of it to the cannabis.
Pills and meds and
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but the cannabis, I think,
losing the weight.
setting.
Sorry.
I believe in cannabis with the homeostasis process in the body, and I think that cannabis has helped my body somewhat balance itself out, or try to re-regulate it and shed off a lot of the
Okay.
unnecessary fat. You know, I haven't exercised
Yeah.
a day. I ride a bicycle around the block once in a while. You know.
Really, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think it's pretty common that people tend to gain a lot of weight. I have friends who are in somewhat similar situations with just a whole smorgasbord of pills that they take. They have these little cases that are weekly divvied out, like according to day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And oh my goodness, there's 7, 8 pills per
Yep.
day
Rx America.
in those trays. Yeah, and a couple, most of these, I'm thinking of my friend Ian in particular. He lost his hair, gained a lot of weight, kind of lost a lot of motivation, which is ironic because it's sad and a little ironic to hear, anti-cannabis advocates or whatever you call them, talk about how marijuana takes away, people's motivation to do things, and whatnot. And
Yeah, or like
once
they're
once
like,
Ian got off the pills, and once he got off the pills and started regulating his diet first off, and using various cannabis products, he he shed a hundred and I think 100 and almost 10 pounds over the course of a year and a half or two, and kind of gained control of his life back, not only in terms of body and weight, but mind and motivation and so
There's-
forth. So
there's been a couple of
I
studies
don't know, it was amazing.
weight loss, cannabis,
Mhm.
cannabis weight loss, like as a, like a dietary thing, and all of it shows, and a lot of people have experienced like that, like you guys are talking about, dropping a bunch of weight, after basically re-regulating your diet for the most part, and helping.
I know I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker for 4 years, and finally I had all kinds of blood tests, stool samples, you name it, that I had it done to me. And finally it was one of my girlfriends at the time who was like, have you tried just going on a restrictive diet and a raw food diet? And within 2 weeks of doing that, it was like someone pulled a plastic bag off my head. All of a sudden, not all, but the vast majority of my symptoms. So that
How many
along with
girlfriends
cannabis,
did you
but
have?
cannabis was the only reason why I was able to survive for 4 years. What was that?
I said, how many girlfriends did you have at the time? You said one of my girlfriends at the
I
time.
don't know. I was young at the time. Oh yeah. I don't know. For people that don't know, I'm a big advocate of polyamory and consensual
forgot about that.
non-monogamy. So I don't know. But that's a whole other
Wait.
topic. And,
Stephen was
I'm
referring to
passionate
a
about
frame
it.
of time,
Generally
not
don't get too
not
much on the show.
a number of simultaneous girlfriends.
I know.
All right. There's your save, buddy. All right.
Just sounded funny.
All right, hey guys, I gotta cut out. I got a fire going. I gotta cook this meat and food and veggies, or Steven and everyone else here is gonna be hungry and pissed off at me. So
Thanks for joining us.
I'm gonna I'll be here. I'll be on mute and I'll have one of my headphones on, and be hanging
Okay.
out with Lydia, my 6-month-old, and my wife, and we're gonna cook up some food for Steven, myself, and everyone else. So
Heck
All
yeah.
right.
I'll be listening in.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
for looking at the press.
All right, take care. Hey, sure.
Adam-
It was great talking to you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.
So Adam, how do you think we can? You were also talking earlier about having some kind of issue out there recently with the regulators or something out there. Or
Yeah,
some
I
problem?
mean, so before it costed us, it was veterans would I think it was like $150 to apply for your card, and veterans only paid like $50 to get our cannabis cards last year. Well, this year they rewrote it, and it's costing patients $300 if you're not a veteran, and $100 or $150 if you are a vet. But it lasts 3 years, and that's their argument. Well, our argument is that there's people dying because they can't. Yeah, they have their cards now, but they can't even afford the medicine because it's almost up to $4.50. Just $450 for an ounce, and some of these people are literally just giving up all hope because they can't get access. Now they're going to get slapped with a $300 fee to renew their card. 2 days ago or yesterday, something like that, they announced also, because in Illinois they only limit you to 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks, so 5 ounces a month. And if you need more than that, you have to have you put in a request to get it raised, your limit raised. Now they're charging people $25 just to apply to have their limit raised. We have the industries, we have the program, we have all these people saying that they're for the patients and medical cannabis and yada blah 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 blah. But yet there's no focus on RSOs or medicinal products. We have, not saying that shatter isn't fun, but when they're selling live resin at $100 a gram at a medical place, that's wreck, dude. That's not medical.
Yep.
And there's meteorites. I mean, they're selling that shit. Shatter rolled, whatever, the moon rocks, and they dust them with shatter. Yeah. I mean, they're selling that, which, you know what, man? Like, some people do need that, and that's the argument. It's like, well, some people need all that. And it's like, well, you know what? whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you, but there's a lot more. Where's the transdermal patches? Where's the sublinguals? Like, where's all that?
Right.
And where's our home grow? You know, and then when I say that, it's everyone's like, oh, no. The people who have the money invested say it's not in their best interest for us to have a home grow. I say, well, this is a compassionate medical program, is it not? And that's my big debate. I mean, I don't debate anybody.
What's their actual reason for not allowing home grow? Like,
There's regulation. They're afraid that the black market will take it over. Let's be real. Investors don't want people to coffin or to profit off of what they're doing. And I've explained it. And there is one grow in Illinois who there's a person there I did talk to. He's pretty up there in the chain of command there, and he comes from out west. And he goes, I try to explain it to the state, try to explain it to the guys with the money. They're just not having it. He goes, he tries to like speak in their terms, and you try to tell them the profit margins just between clones and genetics and all that, and they just weren't. These people think that they're gonna get rich off just selling $60 eighths in the store when people are putting out $40 eighths of organic medicine, on the street. I mean, it's not gonna work. We have one dispensary that opened up, and it's about 4 hours from Chicago, but their everyday pricing is comparable. They base it off of the black market. That's the only way that they see that they're gonna fight it. But they brought some dude from Colorado who was on CNN's High Profits. They brought him in to run it. He's a real cool guy. He's been a nice guy. He's the guy he's been working with. They've really set an example, and apparently they've received death threats for setting the prices like this. So Illinois is nothing more than a rec program masked as a medical program, and it's basically what Colorado is trying to slowly do, kind of push out the medical and have it all rec so they can tax it. Illinois just went straight for the jugular. So
yeah, just I think that obviously there's a lot of things that are wrong with it, but if you guys could just get home grow alone, like if that could be like, because like all the other things, like if you can do your own home grow and be able to at least produce stuff for yourself, then a lot of the other shit that they put on it, at least you have the opportunity for it to affect you less, I guess is the only thing that I can say about that, is that even if like here, we're always limited on the number of plants that we can grow, and all we have different regulations and stuff, and we have hoops that we have to jump through, and yeah, all that stuff is a pain in the ass, but we can still do it as opposed to guys, which to me is like I just feel like if you guys could get that one thing, then you'd be able to be a lot better off in dealing with the rest of their bullshit, which is probably why they don't want to give it to you, I guess.
No, because they know that the guerrilla growers will come out of the hills, and all of a sudden.
Well, they're there anyway. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be there anyway. The black market existed before their regulation and will exist after.
And that's what I tell them, is that like these people, there was an industry here before they even came here. So stop acting like you're the rock stars of the show, guys. Like it's not, you're not doing anything special.
Right.
Doing nothing that hasn't been done for the last
You've built
100 years
millions of dollars of facilities, millions of dollars worth of facilities, high tech shit, and you're still getting seeds and hermied out plants, and people are getting screwed here in Illinois. We had one patient show us pictures. She busted
seeds.
Yeah. And we had one patient bust open a nug, and she thought it was mold. Dude, it looked like fucking tinfoil inside. I am not shitting you.
What?
It is ridiculous.
That is crazy. So they're just
we'll add you to the
group flower for weight,
and you can just watch the shit. You can watch the shit that people post. They think that we're just a bunch of negative pricks, but actually we're over there telling people this isn't good because there's other people who never had cannabis before, and they think that they're exactly. They'll get some they'll get some oil BHO from the dispo, and it looks like French onion soup, and they think that that's normal.
Right, or they start.
Oh my god!
Like the part that
it's just
powder that's not clear.
You can ask Marty. He's in the group. He sees the stuff that goes up, dude.
Yeah, man, it is like there's some stuff that I'm just like, damn. Like the other day, they were like somebody was posting some oil they got that just it. You've probably seen the meme, I'm sure you guys have, that just shows like the nastiest thing. It's like, congrats, you blasted butane soup.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
exactly what it is.
exactly what it looked like. And it's like, you know, and then they start talking, like, when you get into the debate on home grows or home processing, and they start saying things like, oh, well, you can't achieve the same level of safety and quality and cleanliness in a home grow. And it's like, I have this, which was like never processed by anything, entirely made on one like tiny little piece of property, and it's probably the cleanest stuff that you could ever find. And you know, my buddy invested a lot of money in BHO equipment and stuff to be able to do that, but it's all still on his property. Like, it's probably, I don't know, 35, 40 grand worth of BHO equipment, but he's got like the blast-proof safe and all this stuff to be up to regulation, which is great that they do have some basic stuff, obviously, especially for people in, you know, like places that have close by neighbors. Like, I don't want my neighbor to blow up his garage and catch it on fire either, so I definitely understand some regulation. But it is definitely possible, and in my opinion, the best quality meds come out of home grows as opposed to commercial grows, for a lot of the reasons. You know, the commercial stuff starts becoming an issue is because it's not about medicine, it's about profits.
Yeah, that's what I call it,
That's
man.
production.
They're trying to Walmart weed, dude, and it's not going to work. This
It'll
is one
work for
thing
Walmart.
That's why you see,
That's it.
and on that topic, that's the look at the genetics that keep going on. You don't see a lot of the really interesting terpene profile, good flavored stuff around anymore. You see Blue Dream. You know why Blue Dream is super popular? Because you can't possibly kill the damn thing. It grows like
Yeah.
There's nothing that's easier to grow. It's like mint, basically, of the weed world.
Yeah.
And
You could plant
it has good
backyard
yields, and it's
like-
mold resistant, and it's relatively mite resistant, and that's why it's popular. It's nothing to do with flavor or potency or any of that crap.
Well,
it is just
potency,
simply
it's not great. I mean,
well,
it's
it's a relatively high potency, but it's on the upper end. But it's still middle of the ground. But it's just because it's an easy, heavy producer that has a quick turn. That's the only reason. That's the biggest issue you see with a lot of the dispensary strains. You don't see like Quirkle.
Hello.
Hello?
Alright. I think we lost Steve.
Okay.
Anyway, I understand what he's saying, though. You get a lot, and we talked about this too, I think, on your guys' podcast, where, you know, genetics have been narrowed down so much to cater to the high THC market that you don't see those. If it doesn't produce, it doesn't, it doesn't get propagated, basically. And when I say produce, I mean produce on a large scale so that you can...
Yeah, money goes in, money goes out type of thing.
Right.
Is it worth, you know, the berry worth the squeeze, the juice worth the squeeze? Yeah, I get it.
And
get
so, well,
But this is
you know,
a medical
I don't like
program.
it. I mean, I understand
Is
why
it
they
not?
do it, but
If you're
what's that?
Why do that to medicinal meds or for a market that you're quote unquote marketing is medical? Like, that's
Right.
my thing, is that's not, you guys aren't putting out medicinal. You're putting out strains that have been raped amongst other strains and just passed, like, you don't even know what you have anymore. You just have THC crystals on some plant that looks cool in a bag. You don't know what you're getting, and it's a lot
Right.
of these strains too. It's just, and another thing that, here's a side note, but it's a little rant, but pisses me off, is these people who claim to have land races and all that, and they rename them. Here in Illinois, we have in the dispensary we have a grow that's got it's an Iranian land race, they said, and the name of it's Mag Mile, which is the Magnificent Mile in Chicago. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know cannabis was an indigenous to fucking Chicago. So I emailed the company and I asked them. I said, what makes this a land race? Dude, they copied and pasted what a land race definition from Wikipedia is and sent it back to me. Like, I just asked what the strains were. I know what a land race is, but you obviously don't have a land race because there's no cannabis plants fucking grown downtown Chicago on the sidewalks, like through the cracks. Inside apartment buildings, maybe, but
Yeah.
there's nothing indigenous to fucking you know. But
Right. Unless they want to share where they got them from, obviously. Like,
but they won't,
right.
because it's probably Blue Dream.
Yeah, probably. Or like, I planted these wild in my backyard and let them cross. Mwahaha.
Or in Illinois, it's probably fucking shit that's crossed inside the fucking grows.
Right. Probably.
Yeah,
Because
just
we have strains that are starting to change colors, and people are starting to take notice, and like, oh, what's going on with that? We never get an answer. Like, oh, and the guys who kind of understand, we're all laughing. We're like, yeah, we know.
So I can explain that one to you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So we can explain that one to you. So the
Go
key
for
to
it.
getting good color is to swing your temperature from nighttime to daytime in flower by 15 or more degrees, preferably 20 or more degrees. The other thing you want to do is increase your molybdenum content. And Vlad, I don't know if Vlad's still listening here. Vlad can also talk a little bit more on that as far as how to bring out color. He has a little bit better understanding how the chemistry works in it, but it has to do with phosphorus lockout because of that temperature swing. So basically, one of the biggest issues, biggest things that's wrong in the cannabis industry.
Oh, there he goes again. All right then. So yeah, I mean, the temperature swing makes a big difference.
Yeah, I just started reading about that too, because like I said, I've only been into this cannabis thing since 2014, and I've really hit it, like reading about it hard the last year.
Right on. Have you checked out? We probably talked about this already, but like, I know we talked about the teaming with microbes, but there's a teaming with nutrients guide also.
No, I haven't got that one yet, but I'm going to, because I need that book to finish the microbe book.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to check out, and I highly recommend it. It'll definitely sort of like fill in the rest of the pieces there. But yeah, for the most part, the temperature swing definitely made a difference. Like last year in the outdoor, which had a lot more of a temperature swing than the indoor did. Definitely showed a lot more purple than the indoor.
I love purples. I like to look at them. I like the way they taste. I like
There
everything
we
about purples.
He's back.
Okay, so where did you lose me? Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what
You
happened
were
to the
talking
internet
about temperature swing.
Oh, okay, so the biggest things to dial them in is temperature swing and making sure that your molybdenum content is properly dialed into your soil zone. The temperature swing causes a phosphorus lockout in the leaves and such and the flower structure, which is why you get that purpling and the blue and all that stuff. That's one of the biggest things you see wrong with dosing is week 5 plus. Of flower, or it really depends on the strain, but the last 4 or 5 weeks of flower, you don't need hardly any phosphorus because the main flower structure is already completed its formation. It's just adding weight to it after that. So you really, really want a lot of potassium at that point. You don't really need that much phosphorus anymore. And dropping off your phosphorus and switching just to a potassium additive rather than like a typical bloom boost, which would be a NPK, which is monopotassium phosphate. Rather than using just a phosphorus or a potassium additive rather than a phosphorus and potassium additive. It's just that a lot of people use a straight bloom booster because monopotassium phosphate is so cheap. A lot of companies use it for that reason, and because it doesn't really cause a toxicity in flower, they just throw it at it, and the plant never uses it, and it will actually reduce some of your color potential of the plant if you have a strain that has the genetics for it. So. I know Vlad can go into that a little bit more in depth.
Oh, totally cool.
And yeah, I like just like if you're just a straight kelp like maxi crop or something like that you can switch over to that it's like I can't remember what the dry component, it's like 0017 or something ridiculous like that.
17.
Yeah. So that's a great one to switch over to for the last few weeks. That's what I do.
Potassium silicate's another great one.
Yeah. Good stuff.
We had uh, question someone asked me over the week about potassium silicate making the bud harsher or raising higher silica having harsher bud, and I've never found that in anything that we've done. I mean, we have some stuff I've run as high as 260 ppm, and it's super smooth. Like you blindfold you and you wouldn't tell the difference between that and something done at like 60. So at least in my experience, I've never had any kind of negative issue at all with that regard.
Yeah, I poured a whole bunch of that. We talked about it in the last podcast. I had a whole bunch of that horsetail tea that that I had and was curious about overdosing silica. So I poured like probably like half of a 5-gallon bucket of just horsetail tea into my little food system that I have on the front porch, and I honestly didn't really notice anything. I mean, anything negative, I guess I should say. Like, everything's still growing well and no real ill effects. So, yeah, I still don't know what'll happen or how you could overdose on silica or what that would look like.
It kind of will precipitate out, or you'll end up just with lockout. Well, it just locks itself out when it gets to a certain point. Like, the plants don't really have the ability to uptake an insane amount of it per day anyway. So it's just not a super mobile nutrient inside the plant. So it just doesn't. It's hard for the plant to uptake a toxic amount per day compared to other nutrients. There's Vlad. Is Vlad back with the microphone yet? He's back. I wanted him to touch more on the color.
Yeah.
More. There he is. Can you touch more on okay, so Vlad understands this a little better than I do, and I'll let him explain it. You want to touch more a little bit on the purpling and blue in some of the cannabis as far as how to achieve that more? I know it's because of color and or temperature swing and molybdenum, but also it has to do with the phosphorus lockout caused by the temperature swing. Do you want to go into that a little bit more in depth?
Yeah. They're interrelated, really. Like, barring any cheating, which would be a bad idea, like using aluminum sulfate, like alum sulfate, which they use in the cut flower industry to obtain, blue and purple coloring. You really don't want to do that with cannabis at all. So the only way that beyond genetics, one of the easiest or one of the only ways beyond genetics would be to either starve the plant of phosphorus, which you can do in 2 ways or a number of different ways. Actually, lessen the amount of phosphorus that you're supplying in your nutrient solution. Or phosphorus is one of the few elements whose uptake is temperature dependent. So if it's if it's cold enough, and it doesn't really need to be even that cold, in the mid 60s, slow down quite a bit. Phosphorus uptake is very limited, and at those temperatures it becomes immobile within the plant or less mobile, so the plant is not able to translocate the phosphorus contained in some of the older leaves and whatnot and translocate it into the newer growth. So what happens is these sugars get built up as a result of there not being enough phosphorus bioavailable within the plant. Phosphorus and phosphates are kind of the, I guess it'd be proper to call them the currency of intracellular energy transactions, within a plant. It's molecules such as ADP, which facilitate some of these high energy life cycles of the plant, such as flowering, producing buds, and earlier before that, in the pre-vegetative stage, when the plant's putting on a lot of root mass as a clone or a youngish seedling or early vegetative seedling. It's just, it's consuming a lot of phosphorus at that point, and then once again, when it kicks it into reproductive gear, it's kind of puberty, transition into flowering, and then producing beautiful flowers and buds, and then it falls off drastically. All things being relative, it falls off significantly. But if you starve the plant of phosphorus towards the end, particularly when the swelling of the flower is more more attributable to potassium, magnesium, and some other things than than a high energy phosphorus dependent process. That's when you'd really starve the plant. And the buildup of sugars causes a pigment called anthocyanin to form in the plant. It's the same pigment, chemically speaking, the very same pigment in pepper plants. If you've seen blue or purple streaking lines running down the stalks of the pepper plants, or especially where the vertical stalk meets, a branch, it tends at that point you'll see a purple coloration and streaking. Corn as well is a real kind of common one to also obtain a purple streaking color. Tomato plants, young seedlings, if anybody has seen young seedlings turn purple on the undersides of the leaves. As you look at the underside of the leaves, that blue-purple discoloration, that again is that seedling or plant not obtaining enough phosphorus. So being temperature dependent, you can starve the plant without messing with the nutrient solution per se, or having to customize anything, just by dropping the temps, and getting I'm not a big fan of doing that kind of thing. I like to bring out those type of colors through, genetics, or creating a condition where the plant is able to best express its genetic potential, including coloration and whatnot. I think when we start messing around and cheating, if you want to call it that, cheating a little bit like that, the lack of phosphorus, for instance, results in a lot of other enzymatic and biological processes coming to a crawl within that same plant. So while you do obtain the color, I think it's a lesser quality product in the end because of it. But that's just me. I guess fads come and go and trends come and go, and some of the colors are interesting and so forth, and they are they really are. But
I can feel only go so far, though, right?
Yeah, genetic expression is really the way to go. And then if you couple that with a little bit of help and manipulation of things like nutrient solution, or sometimes even light cycles, or different doodads there will affect plants. That's okay. Kind of helping it along is okay, but man, I've seen some crappy looking purple buds, I guess, as well. And it's people doing things incorrectly, or getting the wrong idea about a process.
Or just maybe focusing on it a little too much. Oh, where'd Steve go? He disappeared.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm here. My camera disappeared. My signal's kind of weak.
That's all right.
That camera.
God, trying to. Cool.
So, all you guys,
But yeah, that would be again. That.
All you guys run aquaponics?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I also...
I do, not exclusively.
I have, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the outdoor aquaponics, and then I have 6 in raised beds, and then I'm getting ready to add another 6 in the raised beds.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning right now is soil. You guys are speaking French to me right now tonight, and I've been going crazy with my notepad because I'm super like the aquaponics to me is super intimidating. But the more I follow you guys and what's going on the Facebook pages and the groups and the YouTube videos, that's all it is. It's just intimidating.
I think it's a lot of crossover, like especially with the stuff that you're focusing on already in soil, where you're basically using probiotic life, beneficial bacteria, and keeping your soil alive. And that's really the same thing with the aquaponic system. Is you're trying to keep your ecosystem as healthy as possible, and really as diverse as possible.
Yeah.
You can start getting it to really perform, and so that's why you typically, just like in living soils, you do better as you go. Your soil should become more alive. Your aquaponic system should become more alive the older it gets, if you're doing it properly.
Yeah, I've been growing a soil I guess that's how you say it, in my backyard. Not through composting, but well, I guess sort of composting. But I planted a bunch of ground cover, clovers and comfy plants and stuff like that. That I'm gonna start using the soil from that to start making teas. And
Yeah.
I don't. This is to me, this is all like a new. I used to work on like old cars and hot rods and stuff, and this completely has overtaken my love for everything.
That's awesome.
And it's
Yeah.
treatment, man, and it helps with my PTSD. Really, so the Navy called me back in to go to do a physical to go back into duty, and I have like my ears are gauged and shit, and she's like, what meds do you take? I told her medical cannabis, and they were like, really? And I was just telling them about the story too about school. I'll tell you about that real quick too after this VA story, but I told told the lady at the VA, I was just like, yeah, I smoke about an ounce every couple of days, and she's just like, yeah, you are not going back to the Navy, dude. But she was like, what are you doing? And then I told her, I was like, well, I was in med school. And she was like, yeah, I don't know about that stress. I said, yeah, so I dropped and going to horticulture now. And she was just like, she like pushed her book away, pushed herself away from her desk, like positioned herself to look at me, like lean forward, like a cool, just a welcoming posture. And she was like, that's probably like the smartest thing I've ever heard like a veteran say in the longest while. She was like, you are actually, you're accepting the fact that you're never going to be able to, I'll never be able to work in trauma again, and that's what my specialty was trauma medicine. And she's just like, this is amazing that you found this, and people say I'm glowing now when I talk about it. But school, when I went to go sign up with my wife, she was with me, and she's from Japan, so this is all blowing her mind too. I'm allowed to smoke in the house now as long as it's like not crazy stinky, which is cool. But we are signing up for classes, and I told the counselor what I was taking their horticulture programs for was to be able to grow my own cannabis. And her jaw like hit the floor. She shut the door, dude, and she was like, you're the second person to come in here this week to sign up for this. And then like they called in the dean for the horticulture, and they were like, this is what he's doing your program for. And she was like, he's not the only one. And the counselor was like, what do you mean? She was like, yeah, there was someone else. Like the dean was laughing. As the person who runs the program, she was like, this has been going on since the program started here. Like, this is awesome that they're open about it. So it's cool that the community college is receptive to it and what the students are going to school there for. And I think they can really capitalize on something like that when you get these community colleges together and start getting these community horticulture programs in the community greenhouse. And it may start with flowers or vegetables or ferns, whatever, but it's the fact that we're getting out there and getting the experience needed. So I can. My end game is to move up there by you guys, Southern Oregon or Northern California, and just do my own thing and be left alone and help out the people around me and the community.
But yeah, that's a good goal, man.
Oh man, my chihuahua. Sorry about that.
That's all right. We have a little mini pin. Pretty cool. Same way though, just fucking yippee as hell. Anyway, where'd you go, Steve? So you disappeared for a minute. Everything alright? You got no sound, bud. Did you move, bud?
Yeah, I just had a quick bio.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a really good guest this week.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's a cool guy. I've enjoyed being in their group too. It's an interesting group. They have it's a little weird because I'm not a veteran, obviously, so a lot of it, doesn't directly apply to me, but it's kind of interesting to be the fly on the wall sometimes, and but it's great, like the way that you guys are coming together to support each other and share information and.
Well, that TAM page is civilians too. I created that group, so Illinois, like the cannabis community, right?
There's a lot of veterans though. Come on.
Oh, there is now because of I mean, well, I would say there's about 10 in that group out of 200 and something. A lot of those people in there are flies on the walls too for the industry, But that's a secret group. We started off as because we weren't allowed to post bud pictures on the suit and ties page because it violated algorithms and they were going to get shut down. You know, whatever, dude. So I created some Facebook group to put up because in Illinois, we don't get to see the meds before they come out of the dispensary. They come prepackaged. So that's how we're getting seeds. And dude, one person didn't open their container and there's nothing even in it. Like just what was left from the step, and they're all plastic containers, but not hemp. And that's another thing. My push for home grow is that the fucking greenhouse gas effects that we'd be saving with this, with all the wasteful products, with the material. I'll send you guys some pictures on the packaging. It's so wasteful.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the stuff that's been posted, and I don't spend a lot of time in dispensaries like around here anyway. Like I stop by every once in a while, but. Obviously I have enough friends to where if I ever needed any, I wouldn't have to go to a dispensary. But, so I think that obviously is an embarrassment of riches. But for the most part, I think that dispensaries have to understand that you got to be able to like see the medicine before like what you're actually gonna buy. Like I don't like anything that's like so sealed up that you can't even see it. Like you have to like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can
like,
so if you look at
in Colorado. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say if you go on that page and you remember that we were talking about that oil before.
Yeah.
That butane soup. If you look at it, the date from the package to harvested the package to sat around or whatever, it's 2 months. From the time that they made that shit to the time that they put it into the dispensary, it sat for 2 months. So that's
so it just sat there. That's not even like curing. That's like in a sealed plastic.
Yeah, and a lot of these people, a lot of the grows, they don't cure in containers. They cure in plastic totes. They don't even cure it. They just dump it in plastic totes and package it, and then people get it. It's like soggy. Or there's once in a while you get somebody on there wigging out on the social media about mold, but the industry steps in whatever they can to get the people to remove these posts. And that's another thing. We have a patient in the community too. Oh wow, that we had a dispensary. We had a dispensary go on Leafly and try to get his reviews removed because they were negative reviews because he had a negative experience there. He was made fun of by the staff and shit. So, but yeah, we're just trying to find. They're just giving us more reasons to have home grow. They don't even. They're so against it, but yet they just passing it to us on a silver platter. More traction for it, from the fees that we have to pay to the condition of the meds to how people are treated in the dispensaries. It's to the. We are now just allowed to legally, openly talk to the grows. They had a gag order on this, on how the grows and the patients talked. In the state.
That just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like,
how the fuck is that legal? First of all, that sounds so insane.
It is.
Like, what other industry can put a firewall between feedback and them? Like, that's some psychotic.
It's horrible. You know, and Illinois Normal has a bunch of pull in this too, and there's mixed feelings about that group. So we don't.
Yeah, Normal's an interesting group, but for the most part, they've done a lot to, in general, they've paid for a lot of people to get out of prison. They've sponsored a lot of people. I know I used to march with them on a regular basis back when I lived on the East Coast, but I do understand some of the people's arguments against them and some of the industry arguments. So.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're a bad group of people, but it seems like they're burnt out here in Illinois, is what I'm saying. They were fighting a bunch to get this where it's at now, and they're still fighting. They fought for the decrim, and Ali Najib from Illinois Normal, I think he was the one who was highlighted as like the sole guy for pushing that, which it's a lot of good work. But they did have home grow put on these things, but home grow seems to be always the thing that's cut off as part of the negotiations, which is ridiculous. You have people sometimes if I run out of meds, man, I can't leave my house. I have social anxiety so bad. Like the other night, I was walking my dogs, and those little firecracker
Same here.
things you throw on the ground, you know, the kids. I didn't know. I stepped on one. It was just a pop, but like I didn't freak out, but my heart skipped a beat real quick, you know, and I was like, fuck, you know. My wife's like, oh, it's cool, but I don't even know where I was going with that.
It's all good, man.
No, man, this is the kind of stuff the veterans that are using cannabis for PTSD, man, go through. So it helps people understand the kind of struggles that you guys go through and the ridiculous hurdles you guys are having to go through just to get something as basic as medicine. You know,
and a lot of it's fear, this reefer madness bullshit too. A lot of the veterans think that the VA will take their guns or throw them in jail if they find out that they're doing it. And I've only met one person that's proven that theory, and everyone else I've talked, even myself, when I was smoking illegally healing myself, I told the VA, and they're like, okay, you're not getting any Percocets. That's simple. I said, fine, I don't want them.
Yeah, fucking keep them, Jesus.
Yeah, like, whoa,
good,
whoa,
take them.
Like, is that, and the look on their face is like, you don't want these? No, I don't need them.
Right.
So,
And they don't know what to do with that because their whole expectation is that you're a druggie that just wants any drug possible.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, not the case.
Sorry. I get
how would
sicker.
how would you
Sorry,
how
Steve.
would you suggest people help out groups like Weed for Warriors, or you know, find a local group in their area, or reach out to help groups like yours on their own state level and stuff?
So we
What kind of
if you go
advice do you have?
honestly, you got to start on social media. You got to start with, like how I reached out to Marty. You just have to dive in and start talking to people. But if you want to join Weed for Warriors project, we have the webpage. It's www.wfwproject.org. It's our new page. It just went up. You don't have to be in the military or a veteran to join the organization. It was just started by veterans, and our main focus is to get easy, clean, just meds to veterans so they can operate within their communities and get back to the communities. But also by doing that, we integrate communities. So we do like events and stuff like that. But other states do that. Illinois, we can't, unfortunately, because of the whole, can't even have a cup. We can't even have like a patient's convention. We can't have any of that shit. It's horrible. So we're trying to figure out other ways in states like that that are that restrictive and how to do events. And I go to the VA. I wear a Weed for Warrior shirt. I talk to everybody, and my wife hates it, dude. She's like, you do not. Why do you go out of your way to talk to people about pot? I'm like, because no one else is doing it. Like, first of all, I'm like, well, they're gonna think you're nuts. And I'm like, well, you know what? When they see a story that it helps somebody, they're gonna think of that crazy dude in Walmart who said, hey, you should try that instead of fucking buying all that shit, you know. And it's just.
We talked about this too on your podcast as well. You know that, that kind of story from somebody that they have, that has served also, there's also a vet, will carry more weight and should carry more weight than talking to somebody like myself or even a doctor that might recommend it to them. Just because to help, just have that level of understanding and connection definitely makes a difference. And so, I definitely applaud you for speaking up as much as you do, because it's important, and I feel like, it's one of those things that some people can't do, and so I definitely want to say thank you for doing it, because you don't have to, but definitely feel like you should also. So appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. It's like I said, if I don't do it, someone else isn't going to do it, and you can't wait around for someone else to do it. And now that I'm doing it, more people are doing it, so I don't have to do it as much, which is pretty cool. Now if we can get them on that same level with the home grow support in Illinois.
Yeah, that continues to baffle me, how they could keep home grow out of it. But I mean, obviously it does happen, but keep up the fight to get it, man. It's worth it, and yeah, and then use it and don't fuck it up. That's the best advice that I can give you. We talked about it, a lot in terms of legalization and all that stuff. And when they start coming around for rec, it's going to be even worse. So definitely start looking at those local council members and making sure that you understand who you're voting for and how they're going to interpret whatever they can is definitely important. So we're glad to have people like you fighting the good fight, and it was great to just sort of have you reach out of the blue just because you happened to see my post in one of the groups, and so that, like you were saying, that's a great way to reach out and give support and share posts if nothing else. People love to be on Facebook anyway, so you might as well share something like that. I know you guys put out a bunch of memes and stuff all the time, and try to put out pictures and talk about your guys' stories. I've only been in your group for a little while, but obviously it helps you guys locally keep a lot of people in check as well. Different dispensaries that are offering low-quality meds at high-quality prices.
Yeah.
It still blows me. I posted the list, just a menu from the local delivery service here that was like half the cost that you guys were paying over there, and it was just, it's crazy to me to think that it's corrupted to that point so that it's that expensive, and that they still maintain that like it needs to be that way for some reason in order for them to make money, when the reality is that they could just be producing more and moving more volume if they got out of their own way and would make even more money. If they just stopped, Like
that's their main concern is money, man. They're definitely they're on the wrong boat. But
Absolutely.
I think that if they just understood that if they let home grows profit from it and allowed people to pay taxes and just had it be like anything else that you grow in your backyard and sell, that they would still end up with even more money than all the cornering that they try to do now. I just think that it's short-sighted and greedy.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
so that's the thing, man. It's just not vets that don't, there's patients in wheelchairs that can't get out of their house, and it's a pain in the ass for them to go down to the dispensary. Some people don't have cars. Some people are, they have psychiatric issues where they can't leave their house. This is ridiculous to fucking limit it like this. I don't know. There's more liquor. The liquor laws here are ridiculous too. But back to cannabis again. They just decrimmed it in Illinois, and it's like up to a $200 ticket. And there's so many people, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to say forget getting their cards because I'll just take my risk and get the ticket. 10 grams? I mean, who's going to...
It doesn't help you grow, though.
I know that, and it's horrible. The state's doing this on purpose.
And I think that's, as much as we bitch about Oregon, I've talked about this before too. We definitely have regulations in counties that are doing fucked up shit, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But right now, even without a card, if you just want to purchase medicine, you can have it delivered for a reasonable cost because it's a healthy market.
In Canada, they give their veterans up to 10 grams a day for free. The government pays for it. They order it online, bro. They got the pictures up. You click on it, how much you want, whatever you want. Order 2 grams of this, 8 grams of that, 1 gram of 10 different strains, whatever you want. They'll send it to you. Anything over, you got to pay for it.
Right. I mean, it can be done. I mean, obviously, they call it they say it grows like a weed for a reason. Like it.
It's called weed. That's what I try to tell people. It's not. It's let it grow, man.
Have you heard about Overgrow Canada, Steve? Or
I did.
Yep. Do you know who started that?
No, I
Do you
don't.
know who started that back in the day? It was Mark Emery. Mark Emery did Overgrow the Government. I don't know if you remember back.
I know who Mark Emery
Back in
is.
the day, during the 90s and early 2000s, Mark Emery was responsible for a huge percentage of the high-grade strains in the United States, like a huge chunk of the market, and the DEA illegally had him arrested in Canada and extradited against Canadian law which that was a huge thing back when Harper. I used to have a lot of friends up in Canada, and back when Harper was in power, who's basically George Bush Canadian version. He's a fucking prick. He needs to be hanged along with George Bush and Dick Cheney for war crimes, but that's a whole other thing. All three of them need to be hanged, but anyway, whatever. Or fed to like, you know, a bunch of insects, so it takes a while. But I'm sure you agree, having been a veteran.
They just need to start executing corrupt politicians on both sides.
Not only that, can we sign some kind of peace treaty with some of these crazies over there and just say, hey, look, if we give you George Bush and Cheney and a couple of the other people you want, can we just sign some kind of like offensive agreement where you guys won't come over and we won't go there and we're,
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
a few sacrificial lambs. Sorry, I get really worked up. Actually,
it's okay, man.
I don't know if this makes you feel any better, but I'm sure you get worked up far worse than I do. I was personally thrown out of. I went to Tony Blair's Liberty Peace Medal Award in Philadelphia. I was thrown out of his thing because I rushed the stage trying to arrest him on a citizen's arrest. My ex-girlfriend and I and some other friends. So, yeah, I'm actually really, really, really passionate about all that. Or used to be more so.
That's so wild, man.
Yep. But yeah, all that is just I don't know. I feel so bad for what happened to you, and I can't thank you guys enough for all you guys have done. We're trying to get you guys awareness on some of the issues that you guys are talking about, such as some of the stuff. I mean, you educated me on a whole bunch of topics that I was totally unaware of in regarding to veterans' ability to reach out, especially in places like Illinois. I didn't realize it was that bad and things like that, and in fact, there was one of the articles I brought up this week is there's a whole bunch of members of the Air Force that are suing the Colorado government to recognize PTSD as a cannabis certifiable illness. And it's like, why are we arguing over this? This is the most ridiculous thing. These guys can get shot at, but they can't smoke a joint. That is the dumbest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, we're going to put you in front of harm's way, have you all kinds of manner of things that could be potentially lethal, but you aren't allowed to smoke something on your own decision if you feel it'll help you. That is the most asinine, arrogant, and disrespectful thing we could possibly do to our veterans. And I really want to take this episode and help try and get rid of that, because it's total bullshit.
And I want to piggyback on that too. As veterans, though, we also recognize, and I know that I speak for not all of them, but a good handful, that PTSD, we know it just doesn't affect us. It affects the communities that we're in. It affects our families. Civilians get it. It's not just we don't like to be highlighted as the PTSD. Like 20 years from now, all they're going to recognize our generation from is suicide and PTSD, and we're trying to break that stigma. So within the cannabis community, I feel like I'm walking on thin ice around people talking about PTSD, because I know it affects civilians, and just me being conscious of what's going around me, I'm just afraid that someone's going to wig out because they think that somebody that was like a sexual assault victim or something, or had witnessed their parents or loved one being murdered, they just have PTSD, but they don't think that their case is as important because they're not a veteran. And that's not completely, and as a veteran, that's not the case. Like, PTSD is a diagnosis. How you got it is your own personal thing. If you have it, we need to support each other. That's the main goal, because me having PTSD, I've wigged out on my family. If I say fuck around my dogs, they'll tense up. You see veterans that are getting homeless veterans. That's meant to, they just give up, and you just can't do that. People doing the same thing. It's just, we're just trying to unite everybody for the PTSD push for cannabis.
Yeah, that I think that's an important point.
Yeah, it's the group.
Go ahead, Steve. Steve, right there. I think we lost him again, but anyway. So I think that's an important point, that that PTSD is PTSD. Like, there's more than one way to get it. It doesn't really matter. And in a lot of cases, I feel like patients who want to use medical cannabis feel pressured to explain their reasoning for having to use it way more than somebody who's taking ibuprofen or Percocet or Vicodin or
Alcohol.
alcohol, right? You know, like nobody's like, oh yeah, I need to drink my alcohol today because of,
I had a rough day at work.
right. And so I just think that that's an important point. Like how, for whatever reason it makes you feel better, whatever reason want to do it, I think that you should be able to do it, and you shouldn't have to feel the need to explain to yourself like why it is. Just because I know people basically assume that when you say that it's medical, that it's not really medical, and you're just doing it for recreation. And part of me just wants to say, who the fuck cares? Like,
yeah, no,
I
that's
don't really
exactly.
care why you do it. I don't care why you drink. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter to me. Like if you want to get drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning and mix your shit with orange juice, then great, have a good time. Just don't drive around. Like I don't really care for the most part, and I don't understand why in so many ways cannabis you see this reversal of attitudes where you have like you have the, let's just say the right wing, for instance, in which they're always against regulation. They don't want the government to get involved in anything. They never want like any sort of government interference on anything. And then it's like, oh wait, cannabis? Yeah, we need to bring in some more regulations. If the government could ban it, that would be great. Like I just feel like it's just a total reversal in their attitude. Like why they are all of a sudden just fine with the government taking away freedom or liberty in this one particular instance, or government regulation interfering with the free market. Like, where are all of those same values when it comes up? And I think that's where Gary Johnson really sort of hits the nail on the head. And I know, Adam, you're a big supporter of his because of that reason.
Nut job.
So, what's that?
I said I'm a bit of a nut job about the guy.
That's all right, man. I think he speaks a lot of common sense, and it at least deserves a seat at the table for the debate. Like I really think that it's a necessary thing to have him there, to be.
And Jill Stein.
Yeah, why not? Like that's what I want to know. Like what purpose does it serve?
I would love to be fucking strucken between Jill Stein or Gary Johnson. I wish that's what we were seeing on TV now. Like, that would be... I'm tired of this two-party stuff. It's so corrupt right now. It's unbelievable. You guys, it's... No, yeah, I don't want to get started. We can go into... It's a rabbit hole, gents.
No, I understand that. That's for sure. So, Steve, I didn't even open the spreadsheet tonight, but did you have anything else on there that you wanted to cover? Steve is gone again. I think he's having internet issues apparently.
It's all good.
So Adam, why don't you plug any of your stuff? Like I know you have your dvradio.net. Is that right?
Yeah, dvradio.net. We're the 420 hour. We're 8 p.m. Central Time every Wednesday. Sometimes we get serious. Sometimes we have fun. Sometimes the show just it's a bunch of stoners. I mean, what do you expect? But it's always a good time. And we also have, you can find us on Facebook at 420 Hour, and then our Weed for Warriors website is www.wfwproject.org. You can reach out to us there, to the national chapter, if you want to start a chapter in your state, or if you want to see if your state has a chapter. That's about it.
Hey, Steve, are you back?
Yep, I'm back. I'm gonna just run my phone on the rest of the podcast. Hopefully,
Yeah, we were just
having a different internet connection, so it should be more stable. We're gonna have you host the podcast next week, so I don't have any issues with the stream getting recorded properly, because I think it worked out fine, but we'll see.
Yeah, I watched a couple of the episodes back, and when you get disconnected, I'm still live. I noticed, which was interesting. But anyway, yeah, we were just talking about wrapping up. I was letting him plug his stuff. So did you have anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrapped up?
A couple of quick questions. I guess we'll drop the news stuff. We covered the big issues that I was going to touch on. I had a couple of things I was going to touch on real quick. The DEA still has not reclassified cannabis production or cannabis use. They were supposed to announce originally July 1st, then August 1st. Here we are on August 9th, and still haven't announced it. But rumor mill has it in the industry that it's going to get rescheduled, which is going to open up Wall Street and a bunch of banking and a bunch of other things. So that's why you're seeing a ton of activity going. Other one I wanted to mention real quick is Scott's Miracle Grow bought Botanicare. So anyone out there is using Botanicare, it's now owned by Monsanto. So be aware of that. If you use Botanicare products, you might want to consider changing them. I don't necessarily have a problem with their products, but I don't support Monsanto, so I do want to people know, be aware of that. The largest ever study recently done of cannabis users, and the longest study, revealed that smoking cannabis does not damage the lungs the same way that tobacco smoke does. And it's the biggest, largest study anyone's ever done on cannabis users. I wanted to touch on a little bit about Humboldt. Humboldt's about to pass, or not about to pass. They put a new ballot initiative on for a tax structure, which would tax commercial grows at $1 to $3 per square foot. Now you got to remember that the permits are going to be issued for predominantly 5,000 to 22,000 square foot facilities. Now you're looking at $22,000 to $68,000 for a 22,000 square foot grow just in tax. That's fucking crazy, man. It should be like half of that. Come on, let's be reasonable. People need, they already screwed with everything in Northern Cali with these water regulations, which honestly, to be honest, don't affect me at all, because the aquaponic production, we're at a quarter of what the required water usage, what the allowed water usage is, so we're way below it, but most other growers aren't. So how are they supposed to take a double whammy on their income, especially, on the order of $20,000+? I get that there's more money than that being made, but that's a huge, and I get they need to for restoration of the water and all, but can we be reasonable and come up with something that's middle of the road that's, or even has a phase-in period that's something that, it's a little bit more reasonable? I don't know, just a quick rant on local politics that we have going on.
So is
Yeah,
he
obviously.
Humboldt County?
Yeah, he's in Humboldt. My
Okay,
family's
see, that's
from
important because that's one of the places that I'm prospectively looking to move in the next 2 years.
Sure, definitely give me a bit. I'm ready to make the move. I can put you in some connections with some whatever you're looking to do. But so what they're going to do is they're eventually going to have you'll be able to, when this all ultimately goes legal nationally, you'll be able to buy aquaponic, or not aquaponic, but you'll be able to buy cannabis that's branded as Humboldt brand, grown in the Emerald Triangle or whatever, the same way they do in Napa Valley. They're trying to basically mirror the Napa Valley branding for all their stuff. With the cannabis production is kind of what they're using as a model to have a higher price point for stuff grown in the area. It's kind of the long game.
Yeah, so like Napa Valley wine, for instance, you have Humboldt County weed is kind of the way. And I was just in Humboldt. I was down there this last weekend. My kids are down there with their grandma right now, so my family is from that area, and I can tell you that I've spent basically every summer there of my young life anyway. So and visit there often. My brother still lives there. My mom still lives down there, and so water is another way that they sort of manipulate and try to attract growers. So it becomes a political resource, so that in the same way that they use power to track indoor growers, they also use water to track outdoor growers in that area, especially when you start getting into drought conditions. So it, it's fucked up for sure. And Humboldt County, that whole triangle area has been sort of like this clash of different cultures for a long time now. You sort of have like this hardworking, sort of like leftover from the timber industry, kind of salt